Hi, I'm Dan Keneally, a meditation teacher.
And I'm Chris Wallen. I am also a meditation teacher. So what are we looking at today?
Well, given that this podcast is all about experience, I thought it would be great to talk about what people expect from experiences in meditation. We see a lot of people who are brand new to meditation, and it's really interesting from my point of view to hear why people want to get into meditation, but more importantly, further down the line, work out what experiences they think they're going to experience in meditation and whether those expectations are then met when they begin meditating. So that when they feed back on their experiences, we then as teachers get to hear about whether it was great, whether it wasn't what they were expecting, whether they thought it was good, whether they thought the meditation was bad based on their experiences. And I think it's a really interesting conversation to have to understand expectations and for us as teachers to manage them.
Yeah, and we definitely see that running our meetup, don't we? Lots of expectations, some different, and sometimes a lot of demands placed on the practice. But yeah, what's kind of coming up for you?
I think when people Google meditation or learn to meditate and they hit Google images, we've said this before, but you get all these kind of psychedelic colours and you get people that seem to be on an image having some kind of outer body experience. And I think people come to meditation thinking that the experience they're going to get in meditation might be quite psychedelic. I think they think it might be that they're going to go to a place and have an experience that's more like a journey for them, a physical journey that they can relate to compared to their experience outside of meditation. And when that doesn't happen, I think they think one of a few things. Either meditation is just not what they thought it was going to be. They're not very good at meditation, which is an issue in itself, because when people think they're not very good at meditation, then they tend to say, it's not for me. And it might just be that their expectations haven't been met, or they've not been tempered, or they've not been explained clearly by the teacher.
That really resonates. Even myself wanting to have big experiences sometimes, and this idea of wanting to go somewhere, really interesting. Where do you want to go? And people having this, I think they also want to feel differently. So they go in and it's like they want to take a pill or something. And sometimes it's not to feel. When they're trying to go to sleep, they're like, I'll do a meditation. Or they're stressed. They want something to change. Or waiting for something to change, or expecting it to change. So I think that kind of overlaps a similar thing.
With waiting and expecting something to change, as human nature, it comes in then that we try and force something to happen. So then you become really active in your meditation in terms of projecting an experience within meditation about what you want to happen. When really it's almost beyond your control, because if you relinquish and surrender and all those beautiful words that we associate with the attitude towards meditation, if you're trying to force something, push against something, then you're almost counteracting the actual nature of what meditation is doing for you. The style that I teach, with it being transcendental in its nature, means that you can have experiences, but if you know that you're experiencing something within meditation, you're not transcending, because the transcending element is to go beyond thought entirely. So my first experience of meditation, when I learnt, I had an amazing experience, what I felt was like an amazing experience, beam of light out the top of the head and a rush of kind of energy. And I just wanted to stay there for as long as possible. And I rushed back to my teacher the following morning and I said, Michael, I think I've transcended. And he looked at me in the eyes and he said, no, you didn't. And he just walked off. And I was so disappointed, because my experience and my expectation was completely unaligned with what was actually happening. And then you come to be a teacher years later, and the really key thing that I teach and that I really stress to people is that your experience in meditation is not a metric of the value of your meditation. You can't judge or analyze your meditation based on the experience that you have within
Yeah.
it. Certainly for the style that I teach, because you only have bad data with which to analyze with. So the bad data is I'm having thoughts or I'm aware of an experience that I'm having. Whereas the good data, if you're going to talk about meditations that have a transcendental element, the good data is transcending, but you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
So you've only got bad data and not the good data. So you think that your experience was weighted towards it being bad because you've not got the full set of data. So you shouldn't judge your expectations and experiences based on what you experience within your 20 or 30 minutes. And it's really key for people to understand that.
Yeah. No, I really like that. And part of it is this idea that you're not doing it for the experience in that moment, not chasing after anything or not wanting for something to change. And there's a kind of trust there that I think an advanced meditator gets. The trust is in the process and to keep doing it. Whereas a beginner is perhaps looking for that reassurance in the practice for something to change.
Yeah, I think meditation's 1% technique, 99% attitude.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because your attitude towards your meditation is everything, because that determines then how you feel or how you approach it.
Yeah.
And whether you're fighting against something that you don't really need to fight against, which is often part of the learning process. You know, none of these are wrong. You know, we never say you're wrong to do this in meditation, because whatever happens in meditation is exactly what's supposed to happen within meditation.
Yeah.
So just treat it as a learning experience. You know, we just learn from experiences rather than say that they're right or wrong. And slowly but surely you'll get the idea that, well, with an attitude that's not designed to enable you to fight, force, focus, that you can actually achieve something that resembles stillness, and then you kind of feel a bit of progression there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of my sort of mindfulness style and how that differs from the Vedic style. Because with the Vedic style, as you just said, you don't go with expectations, you do the practice. Sometimes I will take an expectation into my practice, as in I will know that there's something I need to it's that I need to be with myself. So I'll kind of take in a curiosity of like, what's going on with you, Chris? There's something's going on. Let's just sit and work with that, or give yourself what you need in a certain peaceful way. So I'm just thinking that's slightly different ways of doing it. Yeah.
Well, that comes down to objectives then, doesn't it? You know, what are you sitting down and hoping to achieve? If you're going to sit down and hope to achieve just complete surrender to the experience of meditation and what nature dictates is going to happen in that moment, then there is no goal, objective or outcome. So you're quite okay just to sit there and just go through the process and accept whatever comes at you. If you have a technique, breath, you know, mantra, whatever that may be to return to, great. What you're saying then is that if you're doing some mindfulness techniques or other forms of meditation where there is an objective, then your attitude has to be understood at least before you go into it. And I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's understanding what is your attitude towards your meditation practice going to be. And they can vary, but you need to understand it to have the right attitude going into it. I think that's the key thing.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. And I think it's okay to have, I don't like the word expectations, but an aim, something to aim towards. If that aim is like, I'm going to meet myself exactly where I am, I'm going to bring curiosity, and if I need to just do some breaths or let go of something, then that's fine. It's not. There's no demand in that. In that, it's turning towards it and being open to what is there, but with a gentle kindness, perhaps, or whatever the energy is that you need.
I think gentle kindness is a really good way of putting it, because ultimately I can sit down and say, well, my aim in meditation is to feel less stressed. Is for my body and mind to feel less stressed. I want to sleep well. I want to perform well, focus well. I want to lose the procrastination that's plagued me for years. They can all be legitimate aims, goals and objectives in meditation, but in terms of sitting down, if I focused on them too much and I didn't feel like I was getting any direct results, that would then, you know, make me feel like I was unachieving, and that's what leads to frustration, and then people putting down a practice because they don't feel like they're attaining what they want to attain. So just drop, like you say, just be gentle with them, just drop those expectations. It's really key.
It's really, and I think what's helped me do that is the fact that I've done concentration practices similar to coming back to the mantra. Sort of 6 months of just following the breath, like just returning to the focus on the breath, has developed that concentration that allows me to kind of go into what's going on for me without the kind of without the kind of needing to change, bringing that expectation onto it. So I do think people often will need that, a certain amount of training to be able to sort of be with themselves without expectation.
Really important. And I think you can learn meditation from a blog post, you can learn meditation from a YouTube video, but like you say, it's that encouragement and advice and support and experience that someone that's trained or someone that's been meditating for a long time can offer that kind of coaches your attitude more than your technique. And that's really key, because then you can kind of check in with yourself and check in with someone who might know or who's been there before. I think that's where people fall down, is that they're self-taught to the point where they know the technique. Great. You know, you're 1% of the way there. You know, you've still got 99% to go, because your attitude really needs a bit of molding to alleviate your own expectations and ultimately frustrations, I think.
Nicely put. And like you say, it's really hard if you just following along yourself without someone guiding you or a teacher. This might be a topic for another video, but I do feel like there's a kind of higher self that does guide you. There's something in us that can kind of eventually get us out of situations and stuff. But maybe we can discuss that in another video, because that's quite a big topic. But generally, it's just going to be really hard without someone sort of teaching you, guiding you, saying that's supposed to happen.
I tried to learn transcendental meditation on my own from YouTube videos and from blog posts, and I thought I had it pretty nailed down for a couple of months. I was doing it quite regularly, thinking that I'm meditating, I've got a bit of a practice building up, it's pretty new to me, I've done mindfulness before, but this is really interesting to me. And only when I went on the course and learnt from a proper teacher, within half an hour, I thought, wow, I know nothing. I really know nothing. I thought I'd had it all nailed down, and I'd walk into the course and they'd tell me kind of what I already knew. Absolutely not.
Right,
I was like, you cannot teach yourself. No. Absolutely not.
And sometimes it's just one sentence at the right time, and you're like, something just like goes, let's go, and you're just like, it all just makes sense.
It really humbles you in the moment as well.
Definitely.